What is going on, everybody? My name is Conor Lawler. Welcome back to a week of Hero Zero. This is the Heroes for Hire podcast. We are back again talking one comic book character. As we do every single week, we talk their good points and their bad points, and we generally just give you a bit of a rundown of everything to do with that character. I am joined as always by my best man, Mr. Shaun. Shaun, how's it going?
I'm good, Con. Oh, one sec.
Okay, this is... What he's done there, right, is I was going to do the intro, and then I needed to cough.
Yeah.
Don't leave that in. It's funnier if it's not in.
People are going to think it's a normal intro, and then I'm going to ruin it for everyone.
I did one cough. You know how like you start a sentence, and then I went for it, and then about three words in, I went, nope. I'm pulling out with this because otherwise
like a professional would. You wouldn't cough in the middle of a show.
I should have just got sick on my feet and just carried on.
All right. I mean, whatever you're into in your private time, that's none of my business.
It's just a cough, Conor. You don't need to vomit. Jesus.
Every time you do this, it's weird.
When I have a cold. So, Shaun, this is Hero Zero. This is, as I said, this is the show. We pick one comic book character. You do Marvel characters. I do DC characters. And it's my week. So we normally just kind of give you the ups and downs, the ins and outs, just to kind of an introduction. You haven't heard about them. We have done some characters that are really terrible, if you like them.
Like all of Connor's ones, like Nightwing, Dick Grayson, and then...
They're the same person.
What?
Nightwing
Richard
is
Grayson.
Dick Grayson.
Sorry, Rick Grayson. I should have used his proper name.
The first Robin, I would say. The one before Jason Todd.
The guy who replaced Batman for a while.
When he was Agent Grayson for a while.
It's just a real shit character, you know?
I should probably do one on him again, because I don't think that episode exists anymore.
That was episode 50. If I remember.
Yeah, that was right. Like, because Dick Grayson is my favourite comic book character of all time, and I could talk about him for hours. But every week, I'm like, I shouldn't put Shaun through that, because we'll be here forever if I'm like, oh, another cool thing that I read about is this. Like, I don't know if the episode, it needs to like be under at least 2 hours.
Ideally under one, but I'll be honest.
No, that's long gone. That's long past.
I remember we recorded that about the time I moved into this house, and we were here. That was like a 50-minute report, I think.
And I cut a lot out.
Oh yeah, but the original pitch for Hero or Zero when we sat down in that coffee shop was, it'll be 15 minutes on a superhero.
But I love Little Dicky. So if this is your first episode, you don't have to do anything. This is our longest intro of all time. You can give us a like, a follow, a share. 5 stars is always great. You can head on over to the Patreon. Extra movie reviews, extra content over there. Our movie review for January will be coming out next week. We don't know what it is yet because we haven't pulled it out of the hat, but there has been lots of suggestions. Yeah,
submissions are open for just new things to add to the hat, because we've thinned it out over the 3 or 4 years that we've been doing the Patreon. So we're refilling that. So if you have anything you want to add in, head on over there. And you can also look at all of our movie reviews and stuff.
So, Shaun, enough of all that stuff. It's now time to get into a character that I assume a lot of people haven't heard of. We have covered him before in a Hero Zero many years ago. But it's a character that I think is one of... It's the best character. I always say it's the best character you've never heard of. But genuinely, this might be the character from the 90s that we talked about that I'm just like... Okay. This is a different level. There's levels to comic books, and this is a different level. All I'm going to say is Grant Morrison and Animal Man.
Okay. What are you going to say next?
I hate when you do that. I'm talking Bernard Buddy Baker. Original creators were Dave Wood and Carmine Infantino, and his first appearance was in September of 1965. Now, back in the 80s. This character originally appears in the 60s. When I say C-list, I think it's a bit harsh to C-list characters, because Animal Man is well before that. He has the powers of animals.
This is Silver Age, where they were just having ideas for heroes to fight against. And they just had to draw someone to look like that.
And so they were coming up. So you got Superman, you got Batman, you got a Catman. Okay, what if we just come Animal Man? He's just a lad who does all of them. Fuck it, we'll just call him Animal Man. That's what they did, right? So Animal Man comes along, and he has a fairly basic origin in terms of Buddy Baker. He's in his late teens. He's a hell-raising punk rocker, right? So one afternoon, he goes into the mountains, into the wilderness, and he comes across an alien saucer that gives him superpowers. And the powers that he has is that he now has a force to the red or the life web, if you want to talk comic books, which there's a thing in comic books called, there's like the red and there's the green, and there's all different ones. But the green is nature. It's like trees and plants. Plant life. And so Poison Ivy really connected to the green, or Swamp Thing, or whatever. Whereas the red is all living animals on Earth. And so they're all kind of... Including humans, yes, but mostly I think it's based around the animal kingdom and stuff like that. And so it's just a weird thing in comics that they connect them all through. Just kind of, let's not get into it. It's kind of like the spider totems in Spider-Man.
It's the kind of thing, the second you start digging into it, it makes no sense. But if you just take it at face value, you're like, all animals are connected. It's fine.
They were like, well, why can he do every animal? And then they're like, he's connected to, I don't know, fucking... a red, the red. It's a life web that connects all living animals. That's how he does it.
Red is a good colour to pick for animal connection.
Of course, absolutely. Think of something red that you like. Man United. No, don't like them.
You don't like
Boo.
You're a Arsenal supporter?
I don't support any team, so okay. You can boo them all. Boo Arsenal as well.
Whoa. You leave my...
Who are your favourite sports teams?
Ireland in the rugby.
Ireland. So green. I bleed green. That's all I bleed. So Buddy discovers that in the presence of an animal, he's able to absorb their special abilities, and now he is Animal Man, the man with animal powers. Originally it was just animals that he could see, that he could then copy, but then it just becomes, that's when they bring in the whole red life web situation, where then it's like, he can just, anything he thinks of, any animal, he can just morph into.
He has every power, basically.
Yeah, so he can fly, he can swim underwater, he can do whatever he needs to do. At the suggestion of his best friend, Roger Denning, Buddy dons an orange and blue costume, and he starts a minor career as the superhero Animal Man. Partly for kicks, partly as a way to promote his rock band. Buddy actually managed to do several heroic deeds, ranging from stopping a few robberies at the local pet store, or battling space aliens, and odd crooks, such as the Mod Gorilla Boss. He just kind of fights bad animals, really.
And like, it's an actual gorilla, is it?
Yeah, it's a gorilla boss. It's the Mod Gorilla Boss.
I'm gonna get eyes on this Mod Gorilla Boss while you continue.
Looks like a big gorilla.
Do you know what? You're right. It's exactly what he's wearing a pinstripe suit, though.
He's up to evil deeds. After a few years of adventuring, Buddy retires from his Animal Man identity, marries his high school girlfriend Ellen Fraser, and moves to San Diego. Lives on a salary from Ellen's work as an illustrator, and he just kind of starts a new career as a movie stuntman. And they raise their two children, Cliff and Maxine. He is not seen in comic books after that for a long time.
That's kind of cool, though. He did just retire.
He kind of shows up, he does minor super heroic things, and like they give him this all-inclusive power that he can do anything, but nobody ever really figures out how to do anything with him, so he just kind of goes into the purgatory of all comic book characters and is forgotten, really. Because
what they wrote themselves into, he always needs to be around an animal to be able to do something.
Yeah. So a lot of his crimes he stops at the zoo.
Got it. Of course. Zoo. Circus. I imagine he stops poachers at one point.
He's very good. If you don't want to get him in a field, but like a field clear of all animals. Just
just a pet shop. Awful.
But you don't want to commit a crime in a pet shop. He'll kick the shit out of you.
And this is the 60s, there's pet shops everywhere.
The Pet Shop Boys, they're about to kick it off.
Were they in the 60s? That's pretty good knowledge, Conor.
So, back in the 80s, after the big crisis that reshaped and reboots the whole DC universe, there's a big crisis in comic books, if you don't know about it, and they just use it to rewrite all of people's histories. It's like just a whole comic book wide storyline.
Yeah.
And they just redefined all of their new characters for like a new generation. So through that, we see like an introduction of loads of new characters, new books, and different formats being tried. And following the success of Alan Moore's Watchmen, that revamped the whole comic book medium.
It was okay, I guess.
It was young, okay, I suppose. Younger and innovative talents were brought from outside the US because now they realised people outside of America can also write comic books.
What? That sounds like commie shit to me, Conor.
That's the first thing the Stan Lee said. That's an exact quote. So, amongst the new blood brought aboard was a little lad from the UK known as Grant Morrison, who has since become, over the years, one of the greatest writers, I think, to ever live in terms of comic books.
Yeah, he's really hit it out of the park more times than anyone else, hasn't he?
He revamping characters, making deep and interesting stories. He's just kind of like a true like comic book storyteller. He's just like one of the masters of the medium, and he was found during this small time where they were just bringing over people and just trying things out after crisis.
He had yet to make Aztec, but he was primed for Animal Man.
This is before BA, before Aztec. Right. In Grant Morrison's life, this is BA. Before, and if you don't know who Aztec is, we've done a Hero Zero on him, if you want to go check that out. Alan Moore explores the themes of life and nature through like Swamp Thing. Morrison does the exact same thing for the animal kingdom and animal rights with another long forgotten Silver Age hero that he likes, Animal Man. And this is where I'm going to get a bit more meta, because I'm just going to kind of talk about the comic book. It's very hard to convey how good this comic book is, for it has no reason to be this good.
It should be shit by all accounts.
So Grant Morrison's run on Animal Man from 1988 to 1990 is probably the best comic you've never read, or probably never even heard of. He popped up in some stories back in the 60s, obviously, but he's more or less forgotten. It's difficult to disagree with the decision to shelve him, because he's not really that interesting, and they didn't really have any ideas, so they were kind of like, alright, you move over there. Morrison, however, loves forgotten C-list heroes. And apparently Animal Man struck a chord with him that they kind of must have just given it to him and were like, okay, you're brand new. Do something with Animal Man if you think
if you can make
good.
this work, you'll make anything work.
The project began as a 4-issue series, but ended up getting the green light for more issues. So originally he gets 4 issues with Animal Man. And as far as I can tell, it turns into an 89-issue run over several years.
That doesn't happen.
Morrison is only there for the first 26 as writer, but he does the first... he initially gets 4, and then they're like, we'll give you 26. And then the 26 are so good, a different writer comes in and they still get another like 50 or 60 of them.
He's built the groundwork for this character now, that it's a good character now, and it's easier to write with. It's like really it delves into some really interesting concepts for the time, and so in the tale we're introduced to Buddy, who can borrow the ability of any animal and use them to fight crime, often saving animals in the process whenever he's stopping the crime. Say the strength of an elephant, the flight of a bird, he can breathe underwater like a fish. Pretty much anything that you can think of that any animal can do, he can just do it. So he's incredibly overpowered when you think about it, but he was just never used. Can he give himself like the healing abilities of a reptile?
Yeah, he can just give himself any power.
That's mad.
Like if it exists, or like say a cockroach, or like name something that jumps. Like what's one of the bugs that jumps really high?
A flea? A flea would jump.
So like they can jump like 10 times their body height or whatever the fucking thing, or 100 times.
Yeah.
He could just do that as a human. So then like...
Oh, so it scales?
I think it does. I think it's like Ant-Man kind of style, but for every animal.
That's fucked.
Yeah, he's basically Ant-Man, but all of the other animals as well.
It's better Ant-Man.
It's a much better Ant-Man. Whereas other heroes, however, have crazy secret identities, double lives. Morrison does something different with Buddy. Doesn't really bother with any of that. He doesn't even hide his identity. He simply lives at home with his wife and children. And he just kind of lives his life, but then he gets dragged back into being a superhero in these issues.
That's quite fun.
You should use your powers. There's a really fucking cool issue in the 26 in which Mirror Master pops up in his house and starts kicking the shit out of him and his wife, right? And it's really fucked up, right? And he's at home, he's just shaving in the mirror, and Mirror Master just obviously pops in. Mirror Master has the power. He can come through any reflective surfaces. So he just comes into the house and just starts beating the shit out of him. And there's a part of it where Animal Man's hiding behind the couch, and you realise, he's a complete novice. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing here. He's
never
hiding.
really been in a fight.
No, he's terrified. Right? And he does eventually overcome him, but that's one of the very first issues, and you're this is a different level. This is really dark concepts or really deep concepts of what does it mean when you have this hero who doesn't really believe in himself, and then Mirror Master shows up and starts beating up his family, and he's nah, fuck this. I'm going to stop this.
I'm going to do something.
I got to do something. But the main thing is animal cruelty really gets put up. Eco-terrorists is touched on in all of this stuff. Animal rights, the environment.
And is he for or against these things?
He loves Nazis. No,
really?
No,
God,
he is.
Don't know how I feel about him
but
now.
It's even more fascinating. So he is for, he is very against, obviously, cruelty to animals and all that stuff. So Morrison himself, he obviously he feels really strongly about this as well. And so it kind of comes across in the writing. And so when he's talking about it, Buddy's whole drive is he wants no animals to be harmed, no animal testing sites. He gets involved in with this eco group, and they go around and they set fire to animal testing sites and all that stuff. And they go to rallies and they do all this stuff, and especially with the environment as well.
But then quite ahead of its time for the 80s as well.
It's amazing that it's 1989, 1990. This is coming out. But the thing is that there's a really good issue where he's doing that, and then he gets hired to become a superhero. So they're you're a superhero in the area. He gets a call to be come down, there's a crime scene, there's a bit of crime and all this stuff. And he goes down, and it's actually the lads who run the animal testing facility. They've rang him, and they're we need you to find out who did this.
And it was him what did it.
No, he didn't do it, but he knows who did it. And so he's caught between two worlds of are you a superhero? Is it good to do is it good to stop crime if the crime is trying to do good things, kind of thing?
It's a superhero being should I stop vigilantes?
Even though I agree with them.
I'm on their side.
Yes.
Interesting.
It's so cool. Grant Morrison has no right to do any of this with Animal Man, but he's fucking...
No, he got his powers from an alien.
It's never mentioned, by the way. It just goes straight through. So Buddy gets targeted then for having these far left views in the media because they see him as gaining traction. But that's just the start of it. So clues are put in place early on that things are not quite right in Buddy's world. And for example, there's issue 5, I think it is, called the Coyote Gospel. And there's a giant coyote named Crafty, which is a clear Wile E. Coyote copycat kind of thing, who was forced to live and die in perpetuity in his cartoon world, all for the amusement of the creator. And so until he reaches Animal Man's world, and he's trying to explain all this to Animal Man, and Animal Man is wait, what are you talking about? So you live and die continuously for the entertainment of others.
And he's and also That's also comics as well. It's a commentary.
Oh, Sean, it gets bigger. Don't worry. That's only the tip-off of what's happening, right? So the comic ponders the idea that creators and artists are putting these poor characters through absolute hell, all for the purpose of entertainment. So, like, then they're like, somebody's putting you through this for entertainment. That's fucked up.
It is, but they're not real. But
it's like, it's completely, it's turned, it's breaking like all perspectives. So storytellers are then like cruel, the characters are victims.
Think of every bad thing that's ever happened to any comic book character.
Yeah,
like,
it's
that's
not real.
Fucked.
It's somebody. Yeah, it's somebody has done that to them.
Yeah, someone has chosen to do that effectively.
So at its most convenient, Animal Man is a story about a superhero with animal powers who one day decides to fight for more animal rights. And the only reason he does this is because Morrison himself is an animal rights activist. But then Morrison kind of quit the book because he said, after issue 26, because he was like, it's becoming too preachy. Like, he felt like he was getting too preachy on what he wanted to do.
And it's like, if it keeps going as hard as it is, it's going to alienate people rather than casual people could read it and get the message on a surface level enough to make a change.
But as the 26th issue run unfolds, things get more and more meta, and it becomes more and more a commentary on the world of comic books, which is something Morrison clearly loves dissecting in a comic book, which is absolutely mental. The overarching plot continues from the ideas laid out in like the Coyote issue and considers what happens to the characters who disappear out of continuity in the massive universe crisis that has just happened in DC. Where does the characters go? Where did all these new characters, where do they appear from? Where's all the backstories, the motivations? But Morrison then shows us that characters are regulated to obscurity, to like a limbo, until a writer decides to reinvent them. So what I mean by all this is that the last issue, issue 26, Buddy meets Grant Morrison. He
meets the dude who created
He meets Grant Morrison, the writer. So,
interesting.
In the comic book. And Grant Morrison is explaining all of this. Now, this is at the end of 26 issues. Halfway through the issues, it's Buddy wakes up from a coma and his whole family are dead. And he has tragedy after tragedy, right? So, like, everyone he knows dies. His children are dead. His wife has divorced him. She doesn't love him. Everyone he knows is dead. And he's like, oh my God. And then he meets Grant Morrison and he finds out that he's the writer for his own story in the comic book. And then is like, why would you do this to me? This is horrendous. And Grant Morrison's like, oh, it's entertainment. I'm just writing the world.
But Buddy's like, but I have to live here.
Exactly. So, like, it's so meta. There's no, like, it's an Animal Man comic from 1990, and Grant Morrison's a complete madman for even attempting to do any of this stuff. And like, when you're reading it, you're just like, this is way too smart.
This is to be in an Animal Man comic, and also the fact that it was so well received that it went on for another like 50 issues.
Like, yeah, it went on, but then the new writer comes in and completely flips it again, and Animal Man is like now aware. It's kind of like a Deadpool kind of thing later on, and it can go different directions. But like, eventually Buddy meets, as I said, Grant, and after tragedy, he has the chance to confront Grant Morrison. He wants to know why somebody would put him through all of the pain that he's experienced. Why would you do all that to him? How would you feel if people around you died or decided to hate you, all for the sake of sales and making an entertaining story? But like, the final confrontation is so good, and I think it's probably the best thing Morrison has ever written. It's possibly one of the best comics I've ever read in my whole life. Definitely
even
top
Justice
three. Yes. Wow. As in like an issue. Just like an issue. Just like as an idea, and why would you even write that? Like to even contemplate, I'm going to do this in 26 issues is insane.
to have the balls to just put that idea forward even is mental.
Like, they even kind of go into purgatory and they find, like, the Raid Bee. Do you remember the Raid Bee from DC?
Yeah.
Which is the guy who has the bee that helps him solve crime.
Yeah, and it lives in his belt or some shit like that.
It lives in his belt and he solves crime. And he's dressed just in a red and yellow stripes. He's in purgatory. Character. And he says hello to Animal Man. And he's like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, nobody's used me since the 70s.
Yeah, so I'm just hanging out here until they remember me.
Until somebody decides they want me again.
Which happened to Animal Man for ages.
Yeah. So, like, this sort of weirdness allows things to just happen. So characters are, like, written out of existence from full colour drawings to, like, skeletal line drawings. That's as odd. Issues go on, to be written out of continuity completely. Characters break free from the boxes on the page to the white space behind. At one point, Animal Man turns and faces the readers after becoming aware of the presence of them halfway through the issue. It's just like, it's the more I read these, the more I was like, these are insane. Who thinks of this?
It sounds like there's a anime, I don't know if you've watched it, it's called Neon Genesis Evangelion, and spoilers, but it's been out for fucking 30 years. At the end of it, it's all about, like, you're losing your sense of self and you're losing your individuality, and it goes to, like, good, nice, clean drawings to rougher drawings to stick people to it's just some fucking lines on a page. And it's like it's this slow deconstruction of it. And
Animal Man is like, his brain is like falling apart as it's happening. Like, he's seeing all this happen, he can't understand why all of it's going on.
Why is this in an Animal Man comic?
But simultaneously, right, it's still like such a lovable story of just like an everyman who gets given a superpower and like has a wife and children and it just tries to do good. Like, it's still like kind of it'd be very easy to fall into a weird place where like it's not really readable, but like it still kind of somehow keeps this charm that is like, oh, I want him to succeed, even though I know that it's kind of mental, the whole idea.
Yeah, and it's like I'm still rooting for this guy at the end of the day.
It's fun. Like, it's a fun 26 issue run, and none of them are throwaway issues. They all build. Morrison just throws everything into all 26 issues, and like, we the readers are cast as like, if within the issue, the readers are cast as God, basically. Our purchasing power keeps people alive.
When did this come out in relation to Death in the Family, by any chance? Where they got to vote on whether
Death in the Family would have been 87?
Death in the Family. Not the 2020 film. The good one.
The good one.
Death in the Family, 1988.
88, okay. So 88, so this was just right then, yeah.
Damn, okay. So... and that's an instance where the audience really fucked over the life of one character.
So, like, the readers are cast as God, and it's like Grant Morrison explains to him that, like, the purchasing power of them keeps the books going and keeps characters out of limbo. So people only go into limbo when people don't want to read them.
It's like Wolverine's greatest superpower is popularity. Like, he'll never die.
Yeah, basically. Exactly. And it gets then as the issue goes on, like the last issue, they even start getting into like, is fate a good thing? Like, when fate leads to tragedy, like it gets into like, what is fate? Who is God? Like, it like starts going fully all into this, and you're just like, this is the best thing I've ever read, but also this is an Animal Man comic book, and I have no idea why it's here.
It's like, this is really heavy, guys.
But it also doesn't answer anything as well. Like, it's completely...
No, it just poses questions, I imagine.
It's just like pure questions, and the ambiguity is like Morrison kind of challenging us to be like, well, you figure it out. This is what's going on.
That's great. And he's not saying either way what's right or what's wrong. It's just like, these are the facts and this is how it works.
So it starts off as a guy who's on the side of like against animal cruelty. He wants to stop all that, and then it delves into like his exact identity as a comic book character, and he meets his writer.
That's why. And what's he up to now in comics?
So there is a new 52 now. He is still around, but like this is... He never obviously reached the heights of this, is the problem.
This is peak Animal Man.
Like, Morrison comes in and absolutely just... you can't follow this. Like, the people who came in afterwards, they can do good, but this comic book, I would say, is bigger than comic books, if that makes sense. Like, this is...
Yeah, I get you. Like, this
like, Batman's not fighting the Joker, or Superman's fighting Lex Luthor. This is, like, the identity of the industry.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like this could have been written outside of Animal Man, even, with just a different...
Yeah.
It could have been an original graphic novel.
Now, that's not to say, like, all of the other issues, he does, like, full-on stories where, like, he joins the Justice League Europe, and he goes through loads of different storylines with loads of different people. He even teams up with Mirror Master at one stage to defeat a different villain. Like, he does all of these storylines that are all amongst it. So, like, things are just slightly off until the last issue. There's still all these different stories that happen, and, like, we really like him. And then halfway through, as I said, he's joined Justice League Europe, and his popularity is getting incredibly high. And then he retires because he's like, I don't want this. I don't want fame or anything. I just want to be a normal guy.
I just want to go home to my wife and kids.
And so that's when he goes home, and he refuses to be a role model because people who were like, the eco-terrorists, they were using him as, I suppose, a role model. They were using him as like the reason why they were doing things, but they were doing like really bad things as well.
Yeah, like, let's all be like Animal Man.
And he was like, I don't want to be involved in this. I just want to like be good. Like, there was a fireman was accidentally killed at a fire started by an animal activist group, which then Buddy begins to reconsider what he's doing, and he's just like, oh, I have that power. I shouldn't do that.
Great power, great responsibility.
Basically. And like, that is all. I kind of want to just touch on Adam, but I cannot stress enough how you should go read those 26 issues. Like, if you've never read them, like, they're just some of the best issues ever put on print in comic books.
Especially if you're interested, it sounds like, in how comics are made and exist. It sounds like a good read. And
it's just a good read for, like, the other 25 issues are just a really fun read of a character who just wants to do good, and like, his name is being put out there for bad deeds as well, and he's trying to overcome that, and he's just a normal guy, and he just wants to like solve things. Powers and abilities. He's got the Raid Conduit, so he obviously can draw abilities directly from the Raid, as it's called. It's an energy field that connects every animal that's ever lived on Earth. So he's able to just mimic any abilities of any animal as a result of his encounter with the crashed alien spaceship. Now,
to be able to touch the animal, or
no. It originally it was just around him. They could just be near him if he could see them, and then it just became if he could think of them.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Not broken at all.
He becomes immediately more broken. His powers have changed in the New 52. And he now he was actually killed in the New 52 and then brought back by the Raid into a body that takes on the aspects of animals. It's much more confusing as a story.
They made it worse. Cool.
It's made worse. It was just a dude who had powers at this point. He's got, like, say, the strength of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, flight of a bird, swimming ability of a fish, speed of an ant, the sonic blast of a pistol shrimp, I suppose. The sense of smell of a moth. They click their
claws really hard and it makes a sonic boom underwater.
The durability of a rhino. He's got like electricity, like an eel. The regeneration of a worm. The wall crawling of a spider.
He can just be Spider-Man. That's cool.
He can do literally anything.
The chlamydia of a koala, perhaps.
That's one of his main powers he uses.
Uses it way too often, if you ask me.
Really weird. Go to get that checked, bro.
I'm not telling you how to do your job, but come on.
The colour changing of a chameleon, so you can just kind of go invisible and then just like hit you like a rhino.
Pretty good. He can squirt ink like a squid.
Yeah, so the level of
you said without even
that matches the chlamydia. The level of Buddy's abilities are not proportional to the size of the animal. Hence, drawing the jumping ability from a flea would allow him to cover greater distances. So he's also, able to do animal empathy, animal control. However, the only limitation is that he can absorb the ability of the animal for approximately 30 minutes before having to recharge his connection with that animal. That was originally, and now it's just kind of like he can think of it. It's fine.
Yeah, just whenever. Why would he not take like the long life of a tortoise or something like that?
Who says he hasn't?
Maybe, that's true.
But he has to watch his wife and children die and then become ultimately incredibly sad. And then, if I know anything about media, eventually becomes evil.
Well, here's the thing about immortality, Conor. Like, everyone dies anyway. You know? Even if you live to 100, people are going to die around you. It's going to be sad, but you move on.
So, right.
Get over it. Grow up.
Do your family know that you think like this?
What?
I've killed them.
I don't think that's an unreasonable way to think.
I base my thing on Patrick Stewart's character in TMNT, the 2007 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated movie, in which he lived forever, but he was ultimately incredibly sad, and then he turned evil.
That's true. Also, I'm not saying I want to live forever. For some people, perhaps it might work.
I can tell you right now, judging by your lifestyle, you're probably going to live forever.
You think so? You think it's me? I'm the one?
Yeah, you're the one.
Class. Unreal.
Your knees have been hurting since you were 16, but fuck me, you're going to live forever.
Only one of them.
The other one, perfect.
Perfect.
Walking in circles, so I am. So that's it, my report on Animal Man, Shaun.
What a report on a very, very cool character, Conor. Thank you for bringing him into 2025, as I think the original episode doesn't exist anymore.
I don't think so.
Would you like me to take us out?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of Hero or Zero. We will be back on Monday with the Heroes for Hire podcast, and next Friday with another episode of the show. Big thank you to everyone over on Patreon, patreon.com/Heroes for Hire podcast. Link to that is in the description, and as we said before, head on over if you want to suggest any movies for us to throw in the hat to review. And there's also the merch store, heroesforhire.ie/shop. Twitter's @HeroesForHirePod, the 4 is the number 4. Facebook is Detective Divilment's discussion group. Instagram is Heroes for Hire Podcast. Blue Sky is Heroes for Hire Podcast. And the best way to ever help out the show is to tell one human being that we exist.
Just a one, please.
I think that's about it, Conor.
I think so. So I've been Conor Lawler.
I've been Shaun Meighan.
I shall see you all next week, guys.
Bye.
Bye.